Hey everyone, this is Manjwa Tuba. I'm back with the explanation of a very interesting PgMP scenario. This time I have brought a scenario related to stakeholder engagement and communication requirements. And this scenario I have brought in response to the feedback and the queries we received from our audience. They wanted us to cover like more content related to this topic, stakeholder engagement, communication, and analysis part of our program. So here we are to fulfill your request. Let's check the scenario first, and then we will do the explanation part in detail. Midway through your global compliance program, you notice that a previously low interest stakeholder who is a regional legal advisor has started raising concerns in review meetings and is requesting detailed documentation. Your stakeholder matrix still categorizes them as low interest, medium influence stakeholder. However, their concerns are causing delays in component sign-offs. What should you do next? Before I proceed to the option choices and their explanation, I would like to know which option choice would you go for if you are going to face a same or similar situation in your program. So option A says, check the current strategy to engage the regional advisor in the program. Option B says, revisit the communication plan to check why the stakeholder is not receiving documentation. Option C says, reduce his involvement to limit disruption as his role is not critical. And option D says, send him more documentation proactively and continue with the current engagement strategy. So do let us know which option choice you would go for in this scenario. Let me point out the important statements in this scenario, and then we will connect those statements to the option choices to check that which option is most suitable in this situation as per the PMI mindset. A previously low interest stakeholder, right, is now not happy with the program and raising concerns in the program review meetings. And one of the concern he's showing is that he's requesting detailed documentation. This is very important to understand. The next very important point to understand is that the stakeholder matrix, which is a map or kind of like a grid that shows the current, the current state of that stakeholder based on certain attributes like power or interest or influence or involvement or legitimacy or like different attributes. So whichever particular tool in the stakeholder analysis capacity you have gone for to come up with your stakeholder matrix, that still categorizes that stakeholder as a low interest, medium influence. This is very important, that their analysis as a stakeholder or the attributes associated to that stakeholder has not been changed. Their power, their interest, their influence is still of the same level as it used to be before when you analyze them as a stakeholder. This point is very, very important. So, however, their concerns are causing delays in the component sign-off, but it's still having the same level of interest and same level of power or influence. They still are not really rightly connected in the program, and they're showing concerns, and they are not really collaborating in the right manner, or they are not really their behavior or their attitudes are not as per the expectation, and which is actually impacting the program in a negative way by causing delays in the component sign-offs, because they are not either they are not showing up, or if they are showing up, they are not really contributing in the review meetings as per the expectation. They are causing hurdles, they're causing blockers in the different program components. Now, this is the situation. Now, let's check the option choices. But before checking the option choices, I would like to briefly talk about the overall program stakeholder engagement process. So first of all, you should be knowing your stakeholders, which is the stakeholder identification part. After that, you need to be analyzing your stakeholders in detail. And for that, you can use any stakeholder mapping tool, as I talked about previously, to come up with your stakeholder matrix or stakeholder map. You can use power interest grid or power influence grid or interest influence grid or salience model. Most likely in this situation, this program has gone for interest influence grid to come up with a stakeholder matrix. So after knowing your stakeholders and their the analysis of their different attributes, you will have an understanding that like how you are going to engage the stakeholder later on based on their needs and expectations and understanding and their say in the program and their interest in the program and their direct or indirect contribution to the program. Right? So that actually leads to the next step, which is stakeholder engagement planning. The part, very, very important. Stakeholder engagement plan actually suggests that how you are going to engage each of the stakeholder in the program with certain strategy. It could be a combined strategy in some, like in case of some group of stakeholders as well. But every stakeholder needs to have a strategy to be engaged in the program by the program manager and the program team. Right? The stakeholder engagement plan and the engagement strategy for different stakeholders actually suggests that how you are going to communicate with them throughout the program, or what would be their different communication needs. Okay? And communication is nothing but who is going to get what information at what time and with a particular channel, and who will be taking the responsibility to fulfill that communication. So communication is directly dependent on the engagement strategy, and engagement strategy is directly dependent on your analysis of that stakeholder, and analysis is only possible when you have that stakeholder identified. So everything is connected in the stakeholder planning. And once you have your stakeholder engagement strategy and communication strategy for a particular stakeholder, then throughout the program, you will just be engaging the stakeholder by fulfilling their expectation and the different communication requirements. Now, having said that, now we need to understand that in this particular situation, where is the problem actually? Do we have a problem in the stakeholder analysis? Do we have the problem in stakeholder engagement planning? Or do we have the problem in the stakeholder communication planning? Right? And the option choices are crafted accordingly. Option A, check the current engagement strategy to engage the regional advisor in the program. This is very evident from the situation that the stakeholder who is a regional advisor is not engaged. They are showing concerns, they are creating friction, they are just not happy with the program. And they probably are not engaged because of, there could be a variety of reasons. We don't know the reasons. This is exactly the next step after understanding that where the problem is. After that, you will solve the problem. So engagement or lack of engagement could be because of different reasons. Maybe they are not rightly involved in the program, or probably their contribution is not going as per the expectation, or probably they are not getting the right visibility. They are not rightly aware about the program. It could be like in a variety of different ways that we don't know why they are not engaged. But this is very clear and evident that they are not happy with the program. They are not happy with the performance of the program manager and the program management team towards their contribution or their department. But we may have a better option than option A. For that, we need to check option B, C, and D as well. Option B, revisit the communication plan to check why the stakeholder is not receiving documentation. Now, when I posted this question on the LinkedIn poll, most of the people went for option B by saying that the stakeholder is not happy because he is not receiving the detailed documentation that he has requested for. And after you fulfill his communication need by sending him the detailed documentation, he would be rightly engaged in the program. On the look of it, this explanation would make sense, because it's clearly stated that they are not receiving detailed documentation, and probably because of that, they are not contributing as per the expectation, and which is actually causing the delays in the component sign-offs and accordingly impacting the program performance. However, my question over here is, even if the detailed documentation is received, do you think that their concerns would be 100% resolved? I don't think so. Not receiving the detailed documentation, which I totally understand that why they are not receiving the detailed documentation, who should be responsible to hand that over to them, what timing, what dates, what format, all of that is there in the communication plan. So if they are not receiving detailed documentation, the very first thing that one should look out for is a communication plan, that why they are not receiving that documentation. I totally agree with that. But my question is that, is the scenario only about not receiving documentation? No, the scenario is not only about not receiving documentation. Not receiving documentation is only one aspect of their unhappiness. Even if they start receiving the detailed documentation, they most likely would not be 100% engaged, because their concerns are those are varying, right? They are requesting detailed documentation, that's one thing. But there could be other things as well, which is causing the delays in the component sign-offs, and that blocker is probably that respective stakeholder or the different team members associated with that stakeholder. Right? So although option B is very helpful, but option B would not fully sort out this situation stated in the scenario. So between A and B, I would first say that you check their engagement strategy, because communication strategy is a direct, derivative of the engagement strategy. If you are going to fix the communication strategy when the engagement strategy is not fixed for that stakeholder, your matter would not be 100% resolved. Some part of it would be resolved, but not like the complete resolution would not be met. So B is definitely going to be there, but after A, first you need to check that why they are not engaged, what is bothering them, what is not working in their case, right? What has changed with respect to the last review of engagement plan in their case. After fixing that, the right the fix in the communication management plan would be needed as well, and based on that they would be fully engaged in the program, right? So between A and B, A makes more sense than B is like going to be only a partial solution for the documentation part only, but that probably would not solve their overall concerns in the program. Now let's check option C and D, that do we have a better choice than A between option C and D. So option C says reduce his involvement to limit disruption as his role is not critical. Now maybe someone would say that as this stakeholder is like a low interest or medium influence, or like somewhere in the mid priority, so why would we give him a lot of protocol when they don't have too much influence in the program? I mean, this is not how we see stakeholders. From a program management lens, everybody is important. If they have a stake in the program, or if you have a dependency on them in the program, then they are needed in the program. Their involvement is important in the program to some extent. So rather you fix the issue, you just say that you just remove that stakeholder, right? Or you just altogether remove them from the picture. This probably would not make sense. This is going to be this is not going to be a role in the leadership capacity for the program manager. So yeah, this does not make sense. From a leadership perspective, a leader would take everybody along, and if someone is not contributing as per the expectation, then probably the leader program manager as a leader should understand that why this is not happening, and what we can do. Maybe for someone who is low interest or low power or like medium influence, probably he himself would not be directly involved. Maybe he would delegate that responsibility to someone else in the program management team. That makes sense. But altogether removing that person or reducing their involvement or stop inviting them in the meetings because they are just creating a roadblocker in the different program management assignments, that doesn't make sense. So C is out. Option D, send him more detailed documentation and proactively and continue with the current engagement strategy. So option D suggests that there is no problem in the current engagement strategy. It's just that they are not receiving the documentation. So after they starting receiving the documentation, they will be a happy stakeholder. Not really. I have already explained that in option A that it's not only about the documentation. It's way bigger than the documentation only. Or actually, documentation is like just a kind of a trap in there. Most of the people would probably focus on the documentation part, that they are not receiving documentation, so just start sending them documentation and they would be okay and happy, and they will start getting like everything about what's going on in the program. But they are raising other concerns as well in the review meetings, and we don't know much about those concerns. But what we know from those concerns is that they are not engaged, and the problem is bigger than just not receiving the documentation thing or detailed documentation thing. So current engagement strategy is definitely not working for them. So option D is out. So this warrants that option A is the right option, and checking the current engagement strategy, checking what is not working, checking what needs to be changed is the right thing to do, because based on that you will understand that like if they are rightly engaged or not, and based on that engagement strategy, this next step is to update the communication management plan and the communication strategy as well. So this is how we see things. In the exam, you may come across like a variety of questions where in some situation, engagement plan is a problem. In some situations, communication plan is a problem. In some situations, stakeholder register is not rightly updated. In some situations, the analysis of the stakeholder has not been rightly done, and that's why they are not engaged and their communication needs are not properly fulfilled. So you need to understand that from the scenario. But what scenario is suggesting? In this case, it's clearly suggested that they are identified, they are properly analyzed. So the problem is either with the engagement strategy or with the communication plan. And between that, I've explained that engagement strategy is not properly working for that stakeholder. I hope you like this explanation. I will be back with the explanation of another PgMP scenario very soon. Till then, take care. Goodbye.